Welcome to another Osceola video chat. Today we have Marisa Faibish, who's with Florida State Nutrition. And we have a lot of questions, I think, as student athletes are now mostly home. How are they taking care of themselves? How are they preparing meals, um, nutrition, supplements, protein shakes, and whatnot? So I guess to start, Marisa, can you give us a little bit of information about your background, how you got interested in nutrition?
Yeah, so I actually did my undergrad and my master's here at Florida State University. And I actually was a meteorology major for 3 years before I decided to go into nutrition. I knew I always wanted to help people in some aspect growing up my entire life. I just didn't know how. And I really liked science, played sports my entire life. So it kind of just molded into, hey, the human body is so interesting. Let's see how food helps it with our performance. And that kind of got me interested in this nutrition with performance aspect. So I did my undergrad here, and then I also got my master's in sports nutrition ex phys here. And that's kind of how I got interested in that. Yeah.
So on a normal football practice day, we might see you out on the field, encouraging hydration, passing out fruit or various shakes or something like that. Can you tell us a little bit about now, I guess, what you would be doing if you're on the field, and now how things are changing as far as just communicating what you'd like to see guys do now?
Yeah, I mean, you touched on it. For the main part where we're at practice, we're just another support system to hydration, whether it be getting the guys extra electrolytes, just your basic water or Powerade. We have fruit snacks, little things like quick energy that the guys are feeling low on energy. We can give that to them during a practice break. We sometimes have halftime snacks where we'll have like oranges, grapes, fruit snacks, granola bars, stuff like that, where in between their practices they can have some stuff. And then at the end of practice, that's when we kind of have our post-workout stuff where we'll have peanut butter and jellies, the weight gain protein shakes for our weight gain guys, just regular protein shakes, tart cherry juice to help with inflammation. So we're kind of there throughout the entire process with practice. Now, we're not having practice now, so it's a little bit different, but we're still able to support them. We're sending them care packages. We're sending them meals to their houses, to each individual house. We're, supporting them in every aspect as much as we can, because the biggest thing, obviously the biggest hurdle that we're dealing with is not being face to face with our guys, but we are able to, I have group texts with our weight gain guys, for example, that we have daily call outs where we, make one of the guys do something so we can see how they're doing with their nutrition, like show us your post-workout shake. And we send them recipes. We actually just started, our social media platforms are being utilized very heavily now with all of our sports, but we just started a football exclusive one. So that way it's catered more to our football athletes. So it's the same verbiage that we've been using with the guys, and that they kind of all are the only ones that are following us, and we're the only ones following them. So it kind of just shows them, here's some examples of weight gain protein shakes, here's a grocery list, and here are meals that you can make with this grocery list. So we're kind of with them throughout the entire process.
So these meal delivery kits have gotten popular. We've tried a few here and there. I have to imagine you're encouraging, lean proteins, but also, veggies and such. What kind of things are you looking for as you're planning a meal for a student athlete who may need a certain caloric intake? Maybe they're trying to add, maybe they're trying to lose, but maybe trying to budget one thing for
Yeah.
one athlete, one thing for another athlete. Can you kind of take us through that planning?
They're all individualized. So for example, if I have an athlete who needs to lose weight or gain weight, I meet one-on-one with them, whether it be on Zoom like this or a phone call, FaceTime, but we normally do Zoom because it is HIPAA compliant. It's safer here and more secure. We do meal plans with them, but the biggest thing I ask is just their lifestyle and their habits. So if we have a guy who's trying to gain weight, but he only eats breakfast and then a snack late at night, my main goal with him is going to show him how to eat 3 meals a day and incorporate snacks before even getting into the meal plan and how much protein he needs. We kind of have to build them from the ground up, kind of just like a pyramid scheme. You want to start from the bottom and build your way up. So we really kind of just break it down and like, what's the day in the life of you? Like, what are you doing? Tell me some dietary recalls, like your day before, what are you eating? And then from there we can kind of gauge. But then most of our guys are pretty good at eating consistently throughout the day. So then we talk about, here's a really easy way to add extra calories to this meal, throw some olive oil on it, or have a glass of milk instead of water, just different things like that that are really easy tips for them. Because right now I don't want to like over nutrition knowledge bomb them with everything, because there's a lot going on. These athletes are dealing with obviously a lot of stress, the uncertainty. So I want to make it as easy for them as possible, and just incorporating these easy tips for our guys and making it as individualized as possible. Obviously, if a guy hates broccoli, I'm not going to tell him to eat broccoli with his lunch. So we kind of try to figure out what are his likes and dislikes, what are some things he's willing to do. And then I tell him, what's your goal? What weight do you want to be at? If it's their goal and they want it, they're more likely to do it than me or their coaches telling them. So if they say, hey, I want to be 275 and they're 260, I'm like, all right, next week I hope you're gonna, we're gonna set a goal for 262 and kind of go with that. But like I said, I have multiple FaceTimes, daily calls with our guys. And what's amazing about this time is that it's really showing us who wants it and who's ready to get better in every aspect of their life. Because this time right now, they have a lot more time to change their habits, to change their lifestyle, to really reach those goals. So all the guys, I mean, I'm really impressed with our football team, and they're all coming out and really trying to do better. And same with our other sports. I work with softball as well. And, we have girls coming and making sure that they're doing the right stuff, sending me their dietary recalls and all that. So it's really impressive for Florida State athletics as a whole, for all of our athletes to really step up right now.
Marisa, obviously you work with the strength staff and with the football coaches or softball coaches. How has this impacted your ability to communicate with them? How much interaction are you having with Coach Storms and Coach Norvell as it regards the nutrition of their players?
It's funny you say that, because I just was texting Coach Storms. So, I mean, right now, the biggest thing, all we have is communication. Like, we can't go to their office. Like, Coach Storms is 2 doors away from me. I can't go walk over there and be like, hey, what's going on? So we're utilizing Zoom, phone calls. I mean, we're over communicating. And that is what I love about the football staff specifically, is that they're very, I'm with that's one of the biggest things I think that's benefited me with working with our guys, is that I'm at the football staff meeting every single week, being able to say the nutrition for that week and updates, and like hearing Coach Norvell tell me specifically things that he wants. So we're all talking, and it's great to be able to have that communication.
I know that obviously all staffs, football staffs, coaching staffs, no matter what sport, are obviously involved in the nutrition part of it and very interested in what's going on. Have you seen a bigger emphasis with this new staff with Coach Norvell? Because I noticed you guys are feeding them after practice. They can grab the snack packs. I had not seen that before. Is there a bigger investment in the nutrition side of things?
So that's all been done before. The biggest thing now is the support that we have from the football staff is probably the biggest thing. Is, me by myself saying, hey guys, do this, isn't going to be as strong or impactful as if it was the entire football staff behind me saying, hey, do this. You know what I mean? So now that we're all echoing each other and saying the same verbiage about nutrition and the importance of it, I mean, it's gone from here to here, which is been amazing, having that support to be able to get my message across for nutrition. So all those things, like me having all those ideas of, sending care packages or doing these things, like, are all supported now, where they're actually coming to fruition, which is really good.
Do you have any, obviously you have a group of players that have been identified as guys that need to gain weight and the guys that need to lose weight. Do you have more concern about one than the other without being able to physically talk to them and, sit on the training table?
I mean, I'm concerned with all of them because they're all my players and they're all my babies. So there's not one person I'm more concerned about. Obviously, we have like hard gainers, like some guys that if we weren't on top of them, they'd probably lose 15 pounds in a day kind of thing. Those guys, obviously, I'm keeping in touch more with. But, I mean, overall, every athlete I'm trying to make sure I'm in contact with, like I said, with our social platforms, being able to touch all of them as much as possible, and then having those individual conversations with the guys that are just needing a little bit more help.
Could you give our subscribers, for a guy that may need to, add 10 or 15 pounds, what kind of caloric intake are you guys suggesting? And sometimes I don't think our subscribers understand how much these guys do eat.
Oh God, you'd be surprised. So let's just take it from like a fall camp time, like, practice, lifting, all that kind of stuff. If you're trying to gain weight during that time and your physical activity is that high, you're walking to and from class, for example, you're doing this and that rehab, you can, depending on obviously which position, but they can have upwards to 9,000, 10,000 calories a day easily. And it's hard, but when they're burning that many calories, they're hungry and they need to eat. And it's just recognizing, telling them like, hey, you need to fuel your body to perform. So if you don't eat enough today, you're not going to be able to go at 100% tomorrow. You need to make sure your body is, your tank's full. So just kind of showing them that. And the biggest thing with our guys is it's really hard to have them eat more volume of food. So I really try to show them easy ways to put more calories in their food that doesn't necessarily increase the volume and hurt their stomach. So like adding cheese or sauce or olive oil, some healthy fats, avocado doesn't take up much space, trail mix, stuff like that are super calorically dense and they don't take up as much volume as eating like, a lot of mashed potatoes, for example. But we still want them to eat a lot of mashed potatoes.
I imagine some players are good cooks. Some of their parents are good cooks. Maybe are guys able to share recipes at a time like this? Or, you see guys maybe encouraging, hey, I tried this. You want to give this a shot? Or are you seeing some of that right now?
Yeah, it's actually really funny. Like that group text that I have with some of our guys, they'll send videos of their post-workout shakes and show how they make it. And then the next day you'll have the other guy do it. And they just always send pictures of their meals and they're always trying to compete with one another on like who's a better cook and who's doing better and who's eating, better, well-balanced plates. So it's really funny. And I think they're creating it or making it more of like a competition since we don't really have that right now without spring practice. So they're athletes, they need competition. So it's really fun being like, hey, I'm calling out you today. Show us a new recipe incorporating a new vegetable, or show us your post-workout shake that incorporates bananas or something like that. And then they always will hype each other up and stuff. It's really funny.
All right. So we have to ask who's doing a good job in that area, who's creative and who's been a good cook.
Trying to think. Amari Gaynor's been very good at showing us his post-workout shakes and all of his meals. Cam McDonald's been very good at it. Basically all of those weight gain guys have really stepped up to the plate during this time. So all of them honestly are pretty good cooks. And I even said we should have some sort of a cooking competition like via Zoom or something soon and see who wins.
That would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Well, the quarantine thing's affected all of us. Do you have friends that reach out to you and say, hey, how do I approach my diet now that I can't get out and go to my gym and things of that nature? And I would think that there are a lot of subscribers like I am that don't need 8,000 to 10,000 calories. What to the average person during this quarantine, what kind of advice would you give them as it comes to their diet when we're not able to be as active as we normally would?
Yeah, I actually just had this conversation like yesterday with one of my friends. I think the biggest thing right now that a lot of people are probably putting on the back burner is hydration, because it is getting a little bit hotter out. I'm actually not even in Florida right now and it's still hot where I am, but just forgetting to drink because we're, just sitting around the house or, doing whatever, like we just kind of put that on the back burner. So I think the biggest thing right now is incorporating hydration, whether it be water with Crystal Light, to Powerade, or even fruits. Fruits have a lot of water content in them too, just showing people how to make sure they're staying hydrated. And then also just making sure we're just eating well-balanced plates, I think is really important, incorporating those vegetables and fruits, get the colors, because that'll help us with our antioxidants and inflammation in the body, especially with everything going on right now with our immune system. We want to make sure we're getting stuff that's only going to help us and not, hurt us in any way. Another big thing though is protein. Obviously for our athletes, we want to make sure they're getting enough for their post exercise and for their exercise to repair their muscles. But even for your average American, protein's just only going to maintain our lean muscle mass. If we're not able to get to those gyms anymore, we need to maintain as much as we can right now. So incorporating more lean proteins, consistently throughout the day is going to help maintain their lean muscle mass as well.
You said you were not in Tallahassee. Do you mind if we ask where you are during the quarantine?
I'm actually in Kentucky.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're all over the place, and we're still able to support our athletes,